What do you think about what's going on with Mama Earth right now? Do you know what the?
Oh yeah. I use their products
Hmm.
because I have two kids at home,
Okay.
babies. I mean, so my daughter's 3, almost 3, and my baby is only 20 years. 20. My boy is 20 days old. So what do I think of the business? I think again, everybody who's going in IPO, super valuations. They've got a nice valuation. They have a nice narrative going. But we know what happened to the food delivery app. I think such high valuations would, in the old days, we'd look at cash in hand and how cash from operations, right? But nobody looks at those numbers, especially for startups anymore. Let me finish. Why? So the valuation looks very high at this point of time. Again, by the way, they're listing, so we can't be commenting. So we should make it very clear that, boss, it's your opinion. You want to buy the
Please.
stock, please go buy.
There's not
There's
a
not a stocks program, ladies
yes.
and gentlemen. This is just two people just enjoying
Chatting
life
and
here,
talking. Yeah.
chatting. And so, about, again, great D2C business. So, the way they built it, again, after 2015, who would have thought? You wouldn't believe it. In 2015, I was telling a friend of mine, saying, name 10 Indian brands that you can count on your fingers. And we could only count 3 or 4. But now they're more than 100 or 600 or something of that sort.
Yeah.
And they've all done well. So on that basis alone, they're great. But will there be sustainable businesses? It's for time to tell. And yes, there was this news piece out yesterday. Interestingly, you asked me about Mama Earth. They said they're doing it because they could not raise any funds. That's interesting, isn't it? I mean, that was out in the morning context, I think.
Yeah,
And it's really interesting that people are putting out stuff in their perspective. My opinion about them as a user, as a person who's tracked D2C, in 2015, there were few brands. Now there are 600 brands. Some of them have done really well, like Mama Earth and others. There are several others. I think they need all our support. But if they're going in for listing, I think, again, back there, you said, you alluded to the media question, right? Will advertisers run us? Do you think the VCs are telling them to do this? Do you think that's happening? Think about it. Because maybe they want to exit. Who knows? Who knows, dude?
That's one of the sort of narratives out there.
Yeah. So,
My question here is, why is SEBI is the regulator?
yeah.
Why, if the valuation, as everyone is talking about, is very high, as the numbers show, why is the SEBI even allowing it to happen?
Why not? Good valuation, good money. No, it comes in. I
But
mean, people
SEBI
buy.
is supposed to look after the retail investors, not the businesses.
I mean, no, it protects you against financial fraud and all that. But again, stocks are, you have that rider, no?
Yeah,
It's your own personal risk. You have to evaluate it yourself.
interesting.
So that's that. Narrative apart, there's a bit of reality that we have to show in edtech. There are some good unicorns out there. Uh, India, again, not one or two companies can change the whole, solving problems for India. It's like I said, there's vast distribution. 250 million students spread across villages, towns, panchayats. You have taluk level schools. You have different types of schools. To get digital as an impact to this needs a concentrated effort. There needs a little more understanding of the distribution and the target ecosystem. But it's not always spray and pray because, the Decacon that we spoke about apparently sold to a lot of auto drivers, a lot of poor income families.
Correct.
And then the founders had to go apologize, apparently, allegedly. Again, I'm saying that because I read that in the news. That shouldn't have happened.
Correct.
But again, in this evolution,
It's just the ethical dilemma here for them. They're trying to build a business, but then they're messing up with their audience and their customers.
if you look at it in 1920s when in the US especially, there were a lot of car companies, there was a lot of narrative. Everything agglomerated to one company called General Motors.
Okay.
And it was General Motors versus Ford.
Correct.
And a few Japanese came in and disrupted later, 40 years later. So it is a process of time where we should be aware, as at least media people, that this is just the beginning of something. But yes, are they taking retail investors for a ride? You should take a look at that for sure if they're listing. But the VCs will set the narrative. There's a lot of leaks that go on. Maybe the VC is unhappy that the way these guys are doing. So there's a lot of leaks by lawyers, VCs. Everything goes. It's not just employees. People think it's an employee that's leaked. It could also be the others within their ecosystem. It usually comes from the top.